so many things are so obvious, but people aren't seeing it. I'll give you, for instance, Dan, do you buy, or your listening audience, I'm going to ask everyone to do this if you've got one. Dan, reach into your pocket and see if you can pull out a dollar bill.
I don't have a dollar bill in my pocket, actually.
Oh, you're as poor as I am, I see.
I got one in my wallet.
Well, it's a good thing, I have all this memorized from my days in the Illuminati.
Well, I got one right here. That's all.
Okay, does anyone in your studio have a $1 bill that they can loan you?
Yeah, I got one in my hand.
Okay. Turn it around to the reverse side, where you see the two great seals of the United States of America.
Yep.
Okay? Now, if you notice, it says those are supposed to be the two great seals of the United States of America, correct?
Yep.
Those aren't. Those are the two seals of the Order of the Illuminati. And I'm going to prove it. As I said, now, I'm doing all this from memory, so I'm seeing the symbols in my head. At the very top, and again, ladies and gentlemen, you'll need a dollar bill for this. If you're trying to hunt down a dollar bill, go ahead, because I need to preface something first. Or look it up see if you can find the dollar bill online. Look on for the reverse side. Oh, gee. I completely forgot what I was going to preface here. Well, anyways, let's get into it then. At the very top of the seal itself, on the left-hand side, you'll notice that there's a pyramid. Correct?
That's correct.
Dan?
Yep. The microphone.
Okay. Above the pyramid, you'll see a Latin expression that says "annuit corruptus," and below it says "novus ordo seclorum." Translated from the ancient Latin, "annuit corruptus novus ordo seclorum" means announcing the birth of a new world order. Now, if you notice, that pyramid, and you can count it, Dan, is made up of 13 steps. Now, in the occult world, there is two particular systems. One is known as numerology. Numerology is where you assign numbers to letters. Now, gematria will give you the definition to every single number. Now, 13 in gematria means depravity and rebellion. Now, just keep that on the top, in the back burner for now. So we have 13 steps to the pyramid, and if you notice, at the very top of the pyramid, there is a truncated triangle. Now, if you look at the pyramid, you can tell it's three-dimensional because on the left-hand side, you can see how it's shaded in to give it that three-dimensional effect.
Yep.
Okay, but that's not so with the triangle. You see, that's purposely kept out because that is not the all-seeing eye of God, or what some people call the eye of providence. If it was, it's in the wrong position. That point of the triangle should be pointing down, which would be God looking into the affairs of man. In this reverse position, it's man invading the heavenlies. If you take a good look at that eye, you can see that it is a left-handed eye. The reason the Illuminati used a left-handed eye is because it represents the left-hand path of witchcraft. In the occult world, if you follow the right-hand side, you follow supposedly the good side of witchcraft. If it's the left-hand side, you following the dark path. Now, if you look at the base of the pyramid, you will see Roman numerals. Now, that should say MDCCLXXVI. That is the year 1776. And specifically, it's May 1st, 1776. If I could show you this live, you'd see what I'm talking about. But it is on DVD 1, this whole explanation I'm going to give you.
Well, actually, as you're speaking right now, I got an illustration.
So you see, the whole of that... I'm sorry?
as you were speaking this, I got an illustration. When I was studying your DVDs long ago, I made copies on paper and everything. So I'm pointing out to the camera for those who are gonna watch it on YouTube later. I'm pointing out to the camera as you're describing it in full color.
Oh, good. So the whole of that seal is saying that on May 1st, 1776, a new world order had been born. It would be headed by Lucifer and based on depravity and rebellion. Now, let's go over to the second seal, where you see the the eagle. If you notice, above the eagle's head, there is 13 stars with 28 guidelines or rays about them. 28 in gematria is the number for perfection. Now, as we go down the eagle, you'll notice that the eagle is holding in between its beak a 13-letter banner. It says E pluribus unum. Again, from the Latin, E pluribus unum means one out of many. But the question is, Dan, one out of many what? What do you think it means when they say one out of many?
To me, it thinks out of all these gods, to them it's Lucifer.
Okay. Well, a lot of people have tried to tell me, well, we're talking about the United States. And I'm going, no. One out of many what? You see, when Weishaupt, Dr. Adam Weishaupt, the first head of the Order of the Illuminati, had created the Order, he was also infiltrating other occult schools and societies of his day and age and bringing them into the Illuminati. We're talking like the Masons, the Rosicrucians, they created Jacobinism and such. He was taking the best and the brightest minds out of those occult schools and putting them in the Illuminati. In essence, he was making one group out of many. That's what it's referring to. Now, if you have those illustrations, and hopefully you'll be able to show this to the people, the eagle, that is not the original bird of America. And again, in DVD 1, I will show you all the original documentations, the photos, everything, ladies and gentlemen. But the original bird that was used was the phoenix. Now, if we go by the ancient stories, the Egyptian mythologies in particular, the phoenix bird lived about 400 to 500 years, after which, when he was about to die, he would settle somewhere on a cliff, put together a nest, and as soon as that was done, he would burst into fire, and out of the ashes that was left behind, there was an egg, and in that new egg would reemerge a new phoenix bird, completing the cycle of reincarnation. So you see, it was never an eagle. It was always the phoenix bird. And again, the ancient drawings and such that they used for the first seal, the very first seal, you can look at it for yourself, was the phoenix bird, and remained so for over 50 years. Now, if you notice, the eagle is looking towards the right. Oh, its right, I should say. Whenever anything like that looks towards its right, it's looking on in favor of something. If it's looking towards the left, it's looking in opposition. Just like, you know, the Nazi warbird of World War II, if you notice, that eagle was looking towards the left. That's because it was looking in opposition to our way of living, our form of government. Now, the eagle is the phoenix, I should say, is actually looking towards the other seal. We'll get to that in a minute. But if you drop down, you'll notice the eagle has a very unusual breastplate. There's 12 vertical lines at the very top, and then if you look below it, there's 6 sets of white fields, and then 7 sets of dark fields running up and down. 12 in gematria is the number for governmental perfection. 6 is the number for man. 7 is the number for God. Combined, just the shield alone, it is saying, through a perfect government, they're going to place man above God. Now, this is, remember, the Illuminati's version of a government. Remember, their version. And part of the 7-part plan, if you recall, Dan, was for them to get rid of all ordered governments in their day and age. Now, you continue down, you notice the legs of the eagle. Look at the toes, and you will find out that they have 8 talons or 8 claws. 8 in gematria is the number for new beginnings. Now, if you look at the left-hand claw, your left, the eagle is holding a cluster, an olive branch, that has 13 leaves and 13 berries. On the right-hand side, the eagle is holding, or the phoenix, is holding 13 arrows. Now, the olive branch is supposed to represent peace, and the berries is supposed to be the fruit of that peace. On the right-hand side, we have 13 arrows, which is supposed to represent our military might and ability to defend ourselves. But notice that the eagle or the phoenix claws are clenched. Whenever the claws are open, something's given. When it's clenched, something's being taken away. And if you notice at the bottom of the eagle, there is 9 tail feathers. Now, tail feathers, you ask any hunter, those are used for guidance and stability. Okay? But in gematria, 9 is the number for completion, or that which is finished. So in short, what this second seal is saying is that through a perfect government, man will be eternally placed above God, and that our peace and ability to defend ourselves will be taken away by force. However, through this new government, they will complete the work, or the new world order. Now, I wish I had the illustrations, because you see, ladies and gentlemen, there's something important you need to understand. There's one of the foulest, the foulest, the most evil of all occult symbols in existence is what's known as a hexagram. It is when you place a triangle, an equilateral triangle, and take a second one and put it on top of it to where you have a 6-pointed star. Once you do that, you put a circle around it, and that's what constitutes a hexagram. Now, as you all know, Dan, Revelation 13:18 tells us that the number of the beast is 666. Now, if I was to take a hexagram with a 6-pointed star and put 3 of them together, that would constitute a 666, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. And as you're speaking, I'm illustrating to the camera with the diagrams I got. So, like, people...
Do you have the ones that will reveal the 3 hexagrams?
Yep.
Okay, show the first one. The one where you see the 13 cluster of stars right above the eagle's head. Do you have that one there?
Yes, I do.
Okay, show that one, please.
Yep,
because you see, ladies and gentlemen, that cluster of stars hold the first hexagram. Now, let me ask a question for everyone who's listening. Why are there so many 13s on the back of the dollar bill? We have 13-letter Latin expressions. We have 13 steps to a pyramid, 13 olive branch leaves, berries, 13 arrows. The 6 and 7 on the breastplate of the dark and light lines make 13. Why are there so many 13s, Dan?
Because 13 is the number of rebellion.
More than that. They wouldn't have known that when it was created, would they?
You know,
so what would most people think? what would most people think the 13 represents?
Oh, the average American thinks it represents the 13 colonies.
Well, that's true. That's what I hear most. But do you know, originally, and people need to check their history here, we never had 13 colonies. That's what we've been taught. You see, I believe it was Maryland, that was part of, New England, obviously, but they never became a colony till after the Declaration of Independence had been signed. I believe they answered to the governor of Connecticut. You only had originally 12 colonies, not 13. So 13 on the two seals wouldn't make sense. And trust me, when they were designing the two seals back then, all the founding fathers knew that there wasn't 13 colonies. But the 13 is needed. You see, Dan, do you have the second illustration there with the eagle?
Yes, I do, yep.
It's where the second hexagram is?
Yep.
Excuse me?
Yes, I do, yep.
Okay, show that. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, on that same seal, the one with the phoenix or the eagle, when you connect all the 13 together, it forms a giant hexagram, and around the eagle itself, the seal has a circle. So you have two hexagrams or two sixes. Now, if my premise is correct, there has to be a third one somewhere. And that's found on the other seal with the pyramid. You've got that one available, Dan?
Yes, I do.
Would you show that, please? Because when you connect, once again, ladies and gentlemen, all the hexagrams, all the 13s on the seal with the pyramid, it forms a giant hexagram, and the circle is right around it. You have a 666. Ladies and gentlemen, those are not the seals of the United States of America. I've seen those seals used throughout my 20 years when I was in the Illuminati. Now, and here's the important thing, to prove that these are not your seals, ladies and gentlemen, in any document, in the United States of America, such as a treaty, which is the highest form of law in America, with treaties, with executive orders, and things of that high nature, they must bear both seals of the order of the United States of America if the document is to be made legal by the law of the land. There is not one document that exists like that. Not one. There is no document that bear both seals of the United States of America. And the reason is because the pyramid seal, there's never been a cast or a die made for it. You have a cast or a die for the eagle, and it's been used thousands of times, but you don't have one that's ever been made with the pyramid. And by law, anything that's supposed to be legal by our government has to bear both those seals. And yet, it's the Secretary of State that's supposed to be in possession of both those seals. So how can they be in possession of something that's never been created?
All right, awesome. And is there anything you want to touch up more about the Great Seal?
Well, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is just one example of how the Illuminati had already began infiltrating America, even when it first started. Now, the two seals were not officially accepted as the two seals of the United States until 13 years later in 1789. Those two seals, which everyone carries in their pockets every day of their lives, those are not the seals of the United States of America. When you go through the whole of it, and I've only covered part of it, ladies and gentlemen, of what's really on the dollar bill, you'll find out for yourself in the end. There's no other conclusion. Those are not the of the United States of America. And when you think about the pyramid alone, what has an Egyptian pyramid got to do with Americana? Nothing that I know of. What about you, Dan?
Nothing. I mean, it was supposed to be, we're not even a desert. I mean, like, we don't even have the same kind of climate. And, nothing at all, actually. Nothing at all to do with Egypt.
Exactly. So what would it be doing there if it was something American? If, you would have something else. But in this case, as I said, those are not the seals of the United States of America. They never have been. Those are the two seals of the Order of Illuminati. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you will just look at The Arrival of the Antichrist, which is DVD 1 of my series, take a good look at the original bird that was used on the first two seals. Now, you'll find that they were phoenix birds. They were not the eagle. The eagle was only first put on the dollar bill by FDR.
Yep, that was back in the 1930s, and him and Henry Wallace, and it wasn't a coincidence, they both had the same spiritual advisor, Nicholas Roerich, who was an extreme occultist. Wasn't he a student of Madame P. Blavatsky, Nicholas Roerich?
Yes, he was. Madame Helena Petrovna Blavatsky of the Theosophical Society.
So it's not a coincidence, folks, and a lot of people glorify FDR without knowing who that man really was. I mean, it wasn't a coincidence. He was the 32nd president of the United States and also a 32nd degree Mason. Henry Wallace became his new vice president, which is the 33rd vice president, and a 33rd degree Freemason. They were heavily tied into the occult with Nicholas Roerich. I mean, the story goes on from there, but I mean, folks, there's a lot of deception out there, a lot of stuff hidden in plain view, plain sight, that especially on the dollar bill, everybody sees that dollar bill a day. Bankers, but have no clue what those seals mean. And the symbol is like reveals to those who can't see, reveals to those who can see, and conceals to those who can't, which is you, the general public. And what Doc's trying to explain to you, the Illuminati have been communicating with themselves for eons and rubbing it right in your face every day, and you are completely oblivious to it.
Well, let's consider another quick example. Washington, D.C. is laid out using Masonic and Illuminati symbols. If you were to look on the map where the mall is, that's considered the most powerful, the most influential political power center in the world. Now, when you look at a surveyor's map, a surveyor's map that's made up of little square blocks or all blondes, and it's a lot 188 or lot 50. You ever seen anything like that, Dan?
Yes, I have. I'm actually trying to find the diagram in the book here. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, the lot that giant political center of Washington, D.C. sits at, which includes the White House and the Capitol, that is lot 666.
Amazing. And, this is not a coincidence, folks. This is all strategically...
No, it's not. It's anything but a coincidence. Look at the Washington Monument. It's a giant obelisk, isn't it?
It is, yep.
Right. Now, what most people don't realize is that the obelisk themselves has a mystery to it. First of all, in the occult world, if you look at most of the ancient obelisks, they had a circle at the bottom. Now, compare this, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to, the Egyptian obelisk that's sitting in front of the Vatican right now. That is Cleopatra's Needle, as it was called. You will also see that around it, there are 8 sets of double lines. In the Order of the Illuminati and throughout the occult world, there's 8 major Sabbats. And in the Order of the Illuminati, every single one of those Sabbats call for a human sacrifice. Now, when you look at the one, as I said, in front of the Vatican, there's sets of double lines. That obelisk is actually a giant heliocentric sun calendar. Whenever the shadow falls in between any of those double sets of lines, it's a night of human sacrifice. That's the secret behind the obelisk. It's a giant heliocentric sun-centered calendar. Now, the obelisk itself in Washington, D.C., by any chance, Dan, do you know how tall it is?
From the ground up, 555 feet tall, which is in Death and Resurrection numerology, if I'm not mistaken.
But it can't be standing just on itself.
Nope.
There has to be more in the ground, isn't it?
It is, yep. And exactly 111 feet.
And when I talked to the groundskeeper, find out that there's exactly 111 feet below ground. 555 and 111 is how much, Dan?
666. And you folks, you could go verify this
exactly.
666 feet. 111 feet on the ground.
It's 666 again.
Exactly.
Now, as I said, the whole of that area of Washington, D.C. was created using Masonic and Illuminati symbols. If I had the maps, well, if I could show the maps right now, I could illustrate this for everyone.
I'll put them on
but again, this is on DVD 1 and on DVD 4. You'll find all this information.
Well, when I cut this video later, I'll put the diagrams in there for you, so people could see.
Please do, so everyone can see them. Because, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been so carefully laid out, so carefully planned, that when you see these things, you're not seeing anything. You're looking at these things every day, but you don't see what's there. But then again, you're not supposed to. You weren't trained in the order of the Illuminati like I was. But I'll tell you this much, ladies and gentlemen, once you start seeing these things, you're never going to miss them again.